Here are today's top stories. Voting 8-6, the Supreme Court sitting en banc granted to nullify the appointment of Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno. The Philippine National Police reports 24 people killed days before the barangay and SK elections. The Philippines remains among the fastest-growing economies in Asia with a GDP growth of 6.8%. And cruise ship tourists enjoy their visit to the historic towns of Kapul and Limasawa in Eastern Visayas. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom.
Voting 8-6, the Supreme Court sitting en banc on Friday granted the quo warranto petition filed by Solicitor General Jose Calida to nullify the appointment of Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno. Sereno is the first Chief Justice to be removed from office through quo warranto proceedings. A quo warranto proceeding is a legal proceeding that challenges a person's right to hold an office or governmental privilege. Those who voted to grant the quo warranto petition against Sereno were Associate Justices Teresita Leonardo de Castro, Diosdado Peralta, Lucas Bersamin, Francis Hardelesa, Samuel Martires, Andres Reyes Jr., Alexander Gesmundo, and Noel T. Ham. Those who dissented were Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio and Associate Justices Presbitero Velasco, Mariano del Castillo, Estela Perlas Bernabe, Marvic Leonen, and Alfredo Benjamin Caguiwa. The High Court also announced that the position of the Chief Justice is declared vacant and that the Judicial and Bar Council should begin the application and nomination process for Sereno's replacement. The decision is immediately executory without the need of further action from the court, that decision says. Last Wednesday, Sereno's spokesperson lawyer Carlo Cruz said they would file a motion for reconsideration once the court rules in favor of the petition. Sereno earlier insisted that the SC has no jurisdiction to hear and resolve the quo warranto petition since she can only be removed through impeachment proceedings with the Senate sitting as an impeachment court. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
The Philippine National Police reports that some 24 persons have been killed so far in incidents related to next week's barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections. This number is broken down into 13 elected government officials, 3 candidates, 1 former elected government official, 1 appointed government employee, and 6 civilians. Meanwhile, 2 elected officials and 4 civilians were hurt in election-related violence. 52 suspects remain unidentified, while 13 cases are under investigation. 4 are with the prosecutor's office and 3 were filed in court. Chief Superintendent Mao Aplasca of the PNP Directorate for Operations clarified that local-level Joint Peace and Order Security Councils will be recommending to the Commission on Elections whether a particular area may be categorized a hotspot. The PNP has earlier reminded its personnel to remain apolitical and non-partisan during Monday's polls. The government of Kuwait has assured the release of 3 detained Filipino diplomats as talks to restore ties between the 2 countries continued. More on this from Janice Cabe.
The 3 Filipino diplomats ordered arrested by Kuwait authorities are expected to be released in 2 to 3 days. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque made this announcement after he and other Filipino officials met with Kuwaiti Deputy Foreign Minister Al-Khaled Sulaiman Al-Jarala. The 3 Filipino diplomats were earlier charged with kidnapping for their involvement in the rescue operation of distressed Filipino workers. Roque added that the Philippine officials also met with the Minister of State for Economic Development, Hind Sabi Barak Al-Sabe. Minister Al-Sabe discussed the formulation and possible amendment of a model employment contract for all domestic helpers from 91 countries who are currently working in Kuwait. Under the model contract, workers would enjoy a 1 day off, a 12-hour sleep or rest period, protection from physical abuse, and the right to a decent meal. The minister was keen on the signing of the Memorandum of Agreement for OFW protection in Kuwait, which is expected to take place today. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
The Department of the Interior and local government claims that vote buying has become rampant as the barangay and SK elections draw near. DILG Undersecretary for Barangay Affairs Martin Dino says votes are being bought for 500 to 2,500 pesos each. Dino also alleges that some officials are likely to turn to illegal drugs to earn back the money they lost. He says local politicians may be funding the vote-buying activities to gain support from barangay officials for their candidacy. Dino urges the public to record or take videos of incidents of vote buying in their areas. He said officials who are found to be involved in vote buying will be punished. Dino also reminded candidates to submit their records of expenses and donations by June 13. A new case has been filed against former President Noynoy Aquino and 20 others over the Dengvaxia vaccine controversy. Attorney Ferdinand Topacio and Citizens Crime Watch President Diego Magpantay filed charges of plunder, malversation of public funds, and violation of the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act against a former president and his co-accused. Among those newly included in the charges are former Executive Secretary Paquito Ochoa Jr. and former officials of the Department of Health. Topacio cited the hurried implementation of the Dengvaxia vaccination program, which was used to allegedly cover up the stealing of public funds. He also accused officials in the executive branch of systematically conniving to acquire the contract from vaccine manufacturer Sanofi Pasteur. Topacio submitted boxes of evidence from previous Senate hearings against the accused officials. Still to come, the Philippines remains among the fastest-growing economies in Asia with a GDP growth of 6.8%. Davao region claims a significant decrease in illegal drug activity. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Pabor po ako na inaprubahan ni President Duterte yung ENDO kasi po unang-una bawas gastusin po sa mga empleyado na maglilinyo.
Oo, pabor eh. Para bigyan naman yung mga kontraktual na regular. Kaya lang, iwan ko lang sa government kung mapapatupad nila yun. Sana matupad yun ng iyo. Kaya pag babalik ng sesyon ng mga congressman at saka senador para ma-aprobahan na nila yun.
Ending the contractualization so that deserving employees could have security of tenure in their workplace. So it's a good action of our president.
Papapor ako kasi magkakaroon na ng benepisyo at saka tataas ng yung sweldo at makakatulong talaga sa aming pamilya.
Mas mabuti kung gano'n. Kasi imagine, kung isipin mo, magtrabaho ka yata, after 6 months, hahanap ka naman ng bagong kumpanya o labor, mabuti lang kung i-absorb ka ulit. O i-renew yung contract mo. O diba? Mas maganda yung standard mo sa labor. At tanggalin niya yung contractualization yan. Lalo ngayon, maraming every year, maraming nag-graduate. Hindi makapaghanap ng decenteng trabaho. Yung mostly iba yung ibang mga Pilipino nag-a-apply abroad. Kasi gawa ng labor system natin dito sa Pilipinas.
Pabor po ako kasi isa rin ako sa mga pamilya na naghirap dahil rin sa pinatupad na ganyan before. So advantage po ito sa mga may work at talagang may dedication sa kanilang work kasi may assurance po na makakastay sila sa company na gusto nila. At syempre knowing that na hindi na kayo magre-renew yun, mas may inspire ka na mag-work kasi alam mo na pagka next month may salary ka at alam mo na may ipapakain ka naman sa pamilya mo. So malaking advantage po ito lalo na sa mga fresh graduates natin. Mas may inspire po sila knowing na may security yung tenure nila sa company na pipiliin nila.
The Philippines remains among Asia's fastest growing economies as it expanded by 6.8% amid higher commodity prices. More on this report from Miguel Hill.
The Philippine economy expanded by 6.8% in the first quarter of 2018, making it still one of the fastest growing economies in the region. The Philippine economic growth during the period followed Vietnam's 7.4% growth, same as China, and higher than Indonesia's 5.1%. Socioeconomic Planning Secretary Ernesto Pernia said the country's gross domestic product could have posted a first quarter growth closer to 7.5%, the mid-range of the full-year growth target of 7 to 8% for 2018, if not for higher prices. Pernia attributed the rising inflation to the temporary effects of the implementation of the Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion or TRAIN law. TRAIN, the first package of the government's tax reform program, reduced personal income taxes but increased excise taxes on fuel and motor vehicles since the law took effect last January 1st. The NEDA chief underscored the need to immediately lift the quantitative restrictions on rice in a bid to reduce retail prices of rice and other food items and thus increase the purchasing power of low-income households and bring down inflation. Pernia said the country should also hasten mitigating measures such as the conditional cash transfer to the poorest 50% of households and the Pantawid Pasada subsidy for jeepney drivers. The government remains hopeful that at least the lower end of the full-year GDP growth target range of 7 to 8% is still doable. Domestic demand is also expected to increase in view of the recently approved tax reform package, which is deemed to boost income and consumption of taxpayers. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas announces that the Monetary Board has raised policy interest rates by 25 basis points, the first upward adjustment of key rates since September 2014. BSP Governor Nestor Espinilla Jr. said the rate hike sets overnight reverse purchase facility interest rate at 3.25%, while overnight lending and deposit facilities at 2.75%. The move of the MB was reportedly expected amid increasing inflation due to a confluence of factors. He noted that the adjustments is expected to get inflation back on the target range of 2 to 4%. BSP Deputy Governor Diwa Gunigundo meanwhile said the central bank raised the inflation forecast from 3.9% to 4.6% in 2018 and from 3% to 3.4% in 2019. Gunigundo cited that increasing oil prices upward adjustment of minimum wage and excise tax on tobacco products are the Monetary Board's reasons to raise inflation projection for 2018. Meantime, inflation is expected to ease by next year as the Monetary Board sees tempering in crude oil price from $67.84 to 64 pesos and 81 centavos per barrel. 11 members of the Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters, or BIFF, surrendered and handed over their weapons to the military on Thursday. Lieutenant Colonel Harold Kabunok, the commander of the Army's 33rd Infantry Battalion, along with local government officials of Datu Paglat, Maguindanao, received BIFF Commander Sindatuk Dilna and 10 of his men. Kabunok said the armed men showed sincerity in returning to the fold of the law and that their surrender was the result of the Army's combined community engagement and military operations. Kabunok said the surrenderers will be presented to the Maguindanao Governor Ismael Mangudadatu on May 12. Mangudadatu said his office will provide livelihood assistance to the ISIS-linked rebels equivalent to the cost of the firearms they have turned in. The Davao Police Regional Office reports that the illegal drug problem in the region has been significantly reduced. Police Chief Inspector Milgrace Dris, spokesperson of PRO Davao, says new drug personalities have now entered the region and the number of surrenderers have dropped. Driz says the intensified campaign of the police against illegal drugs may have deterred drug personalities from doing business in Davao. Police and other law enforcement agencies are now monitoring the boundaries of the region where the drug problem still remains. Driz urged Davaoeños to cooperate with the government to stop the spread of illegal drugs. Surrenderers who have returned to their old habits are also urged to again undergo rehabilitation. The City Anti-Drug Abuse Council reported that 46% of those who were told to undergo rehab have dropped after the first session instead of completing the 24-month program. PNP ABSA Corp Director Leonardo Carlos reminds airline passengers not to make bomb jokes while on their flight. ABSA Group personnel in Dumaguete detained a passenger of PAL flight number PR2546 set for Manila for making a bomb joke. Police were alerted of an alleged bomb scare made by a passenger who was approached by a steward. The passenger was briefly detained at the Dumaguete Airport Police Station until bomb squads cleared the plane of any explosives, causing a delay in the flight. The PAL Legal Division in Manila has yet to determine whether it would pursue charges against the passenger. Up next, the DILG expects the number of election hotspots to double before Election Day on May 14. Cruise ship tourists enjoy their visit to the historic towns of Kapul and Limasawa in eastern Visayas. These and more when the PNA Newsroom returns.
Binigyan ng dalawang set ng generator ng International Committee of the Red Cross ang Marawi City Water District sa isang ceremonial turnover na ginawa sa Barangay Bangon Pumping Station. Layunin nitong makasiguro na mayroong access ang mga residente sa tubig kasakaling magkaroon ng mga di inaasahang pagkawala ng kuryente habang patuloy na inaayos ang mga linya nito sa lungsod. Ayon kay John Paul Dubois, ICRC delegate, dalawang set ng generator ang ibinigay ng kanilang komite dahil sa 4 na pumping station sa lungsod. Ang isa ay nasa Agus 1 Hydraulic Plant kung kaya't hindi na kailangan ng generator habang ang isa naman ay nasa loob ng most affected area. Isa sa mga generator na natanggap ay inilagay sa MCWD main office habang ang isa naman ay nasa Bangon Pumping Station. Nagagamit na simula Enero ang nasa Bangon Pumping Station. Nakatulong ito sa paghahatid ng tubig sa mga residente sa mga kalapit na area habang inaayos pa ang mga linya ng kuryente. Ayon kay MCWD Manager Dr. Alejandrito Descallar, malaking tulong ang donasyong natanggap mula sa ICRC. Hindi lamang ginagamit ng mga residente ang tubig sa mga pang-araw-araw na gawain, kagaya ng pagluto, paglalaba at iba pa. Mahalaga rin ito para sa mga Muslim dahil ginagamit nila ito bilang ablusyon. Dagdag pa niya, natataon ito dahil marami ng residente ang nakabalik sa kanilang mga tahanan. Sa kasalukuyan, hindi na gaanong nawawala ng kuryente ang mga barangay na muli nang natitirahan. Ayon kay Ali Aji Hasan, residente ng Barangay Bangon, mas mabuti na ang supply sa tubig kumpara noong makabalik siya noong Nobyembre. Patuloy naman ang pakikipag-ugnayan ng MCWD sa Task Force Bangon Marawi at Lanao del Sur Electric Cooperative para magamit na muli nila ang kanilang main office. Kasama si John Paul Soriano, para sa Bayan, Sweet Lukman, Philippine Information Agency.
The Department of the Interior and Local Government expects the number of election hotspots to double before the May 14 barangay and SK elections. Interior Undersecretary Martin Dino says the PNP has identified nearly 8,000 hotspots around the country. He says the number may double due to reported interference by local politicians such as mayors and congressmen who are supporting some barangay candidates. Dino warns elected local officials not to intervene in the barangay elections. Chief Superintendent Mao Aplasca, Director of PNP Directorate for Operations, meanwhile said there are joint peace and order security councils at the local level that recommend which areas should be declared as hotspots based on the complaints they receive. Ceres Negros opened its AFC Cup ASEAN Zone semifinal series against Yangon with a 4-2 win at the Panaad Stadium in Bacolod. A first-half domination was enough for Negros to hold off Yangon, although a brace from Sekou Sila opened a possibility for Yangon to steal the two-match series as it shifts to the Burmese capital next week. Bienve Maranon opened the festivities for Negros with a 30th minute strike off a through ball from Manny Ott. Patrick Rachel made another with his 34th minute attack of a putback after Sansat Naing saved Mike Ott's first attempt. Maranon sealed Negros' first half barrage with a 44th minute goal as Manny Ott, who made the corner kick that set up Maranon's second goal of the night, was once again credited for the assist. Celia finally put Yangon on the board in the 55th minute, only to be cancelled out by Super Herrera's 63rd minute strike. Celia added one more in the 83rd minute for the final tally. Cruise ship tourists have visited Kapul and Limasawa to experience firsthand the hospitality and culture of Eastern Visayas. More on this from Maricor Zapata.
For a group of cruise ship tourists, a 2-day trip to the historic island towns in Eastern Visayas was a fascinating experience. About 100 foreign tourists on board cruise ship Silver Sea Discoverer visited the towns of Kapul, Northern Samar, and Limasawa, Southern Leyte, to experience onshore expedition in the two islands. The tourists noted the rich forests and corals around the islands. They visited the Kapul Lighthouse or Faro de Isla Kapul, one of the remaining operational lighthouses built during the Spanish era. Also in the itinerary was the centuries-old Kapul Church, which was built in 1781. Dedicated to St. Ignatius of Loyola, the church served as a fortress against raiding Moros hundreds of years ago. In Limasawa, tourists visited the Magellan's Cross, planted on top of the mountain by Spanish and Portuguese explorers when Ferdinand Magellan set foot in the Philippines. Other stopovers were the Magellan Shrine and the replica of the traditional Limasawa house, where the tourists enjoyed some tattoo sessions. They also had their names etched on bamboo bricks, using baybayin, the ancient Filipino writing system. The tourists had fun watching performances featuring the history of Limasawa. They also tried doing traditional dances in Eastern Visayas themselves. After the dance troupe, some Yao demonstrated the dances for them. Before leaving Limasawa, the tourists distributed school supplies to about 100 school children in the community. Silver Sea Discoverer is the third cruise ship that visited the historical island towns of Eastern Visayas, after the Department of Tourism included these in the list of cruise destinations in the country. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Here's another look at today's top stories. Voting 8-6, the Supreme Court sitting en banc granted to nullify the appointment of Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno. The Philippine National Police reports 24 people killed days before the barangay and SK elections. The Philippines remains among the fastest-growing economies in Asia with a GDP growth of 6.8%. And cruise ship tourists enjoy their visit to the historic towns of Capul and Limasawa in eastern Visayas. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. Tonight, don't forget to watch Pros and Cons with Undersecretary Joel C. Egco as he tackles the issue of land reform. That's 10:30 p.m. on PTV4. There are only 3 days left before the barangay and SK elections, so don't forget to go out and vote wisely if you want real change to happen in your communities. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I'm William Theo. Happy long weekend.